It's great to see you. Do you have a thing for snakes? Or perhaps you're terrified of them? Anyway, you've already chosen this film to watch the most odd of them. Oh, and we came upon some really cool sights. Today, you'll see the most beautiful snakes, the strangest snakes, and even meme snakes. So, there's a lot to look forward to. Let's get started. Spidertailed horned viper. Spiders aren't the nicest of creatures. Many people despise snakes, so what happens when you combine the two? For the time being, no creatures from your nightmares. Only the spider-tailed viper may be found in western Iran. It has a little thickening at the end of its tail, which distinguishes it from many other vipers. This spiked thickening resembles a spider or other similar insect with a swarm of legs. By swinging its tail back and forth, the viper draws the attention of the bird, and when the bird approaches, all that's left is for you to enjoy your meal. Hognose snake. When snakes detect or sense danger, they may hiss, shake their ratchet on their tail, inflate their hood, attack, or crawl as far away as they can, but not this species. The hognose snake has adopted the act of being dead from prairie dogs or whatever. To begin, it imitates a cool snake by raising its head above the ground and expanding its neck like a cobra. It even acts as though it's going to bite you. They can, however, be harmed by a hognose snake. Because its toxin is too weak, it may only be suitable for persons with allergies. When the bite proves to be ineffective, the snake rolls onto its back and naturally imitates death, generating a particular odor that permits the tongue to hang from the mouth. Flying snake. You can only sigh with relief when you see these species. Thankfully, this species does not have the ability to fly like tarantulas or snakes. Or, wait, what do you mean? Snakes can go infinity and beyond. Hey, that's not in the contract. The gliding snakes, in fact, have the ability to fly. There were no wings, no miraculous dust, and no plane tickets. Before they can fly, they only require a unique body shape and a suitable tree. The snake gathers at the branch's end and hangs on it. When it decides on a direction, the rest of its tail is pushed off and it falls, but not simply down. It's as if you're crawling through the air. During flying, it glides without utilizing any wings. The snake's normally spherical body flattens to the maximum extent feasible. It draws in its tummy and stretches out its ribs. With a sophisticated mix of movements, it tries to imitate a flying squirrel. This is how the tree snake gets to a nearby tree or another branch. They have the ability to move as much as they wish, often covering hundreds of meters in a single flight. Flying snakes, on the other hand, are just mildly toxic and pose no threat to humans. Now is the time to take a deep breath and exhale. Horned vipers. Snakes are terrifying enough without additional frills for those who are terrified of them. Are these animals truly devilish? The hissing is cool and pliable. Imagine what happens if you throw in some horns. Except for Morocco and the Arabian Peninsula, a horned viper can be found all around North Africa. Because of their hue, vipers favor deserts and semi-deserts. They mix in well with the sand and may approach the victim without being detected. However, the sulfur scent gives them away a little. It had an awful odor. To be honest, we've never smelled horned vipers, and we don't advocate it. They are predators who love to be ambushed until their prey is within striking distance. Horned vipers strike with lightning speed after that. It's usually made for rodents, birds, or lizards, but getting stung by deadly fangs isn't a pleasant experience for humans. Swelling, bleeding, nausea, and vomiting are some of the symptoms that you may experience. Necrosis of the intestines is manifested by vomiting. You don't have to be terrified of the horns because you have the complete spectrum of repercussions. A horned viper is unlikely to sting you. Scientists are baffled as to why it requires horns at all. Some people believe it's to protect them from other predators. Because the snake's horned head has an odd shape, it's more difficult to notice it. Others claim that the viper's horns protect their eyes from the sand with their horns. Is that what you're getting at? Their brows, in particular. Snakes with two heads. During the Middle Ages, it was thought to be cursed, a sign of the end of the world, or something along those lines. It's all the witchy's fault, but modern scientists aren't so sure. Wow, what the hell? And two-headed snakes are quite rare. They can be found in nature, but they rarely live long enough for humans to see them. Siamese twins are a good analogy for such snakes. The fetus starts to divide into identical twins, but the process eventually comes to a halt at one of the phases. The end result resembles a two-headed dragon without the paws, wings, or fire breath. Oh please, it still appears to be that way. A snake farmer in Florida obtained one of these dragons for the price of one or the other. In any case, unlike most organisms of this type, it turns out that a small snake's two completely functioning heads aren't the only surprise. It had two hearts, as it turned out. Okay, we located another Time Lord, and they told us that there are only a few of them remaining. Arthur is a Hispida, a type of Hispida. Do you have any experience with fluffy snakes? If not, but you have a strong desire to see Central Africa, go there. The Altherus hispida is a rare species that dwells here. It's an endemic, meaning it can't be found anywhere else on the planet. Because of its unique scale structure, which is elevated and gives it a bristly appearance, the viper seems spiky or even fluffy. It appears to be a large, ominous brush. Even if you find the fluffy viper, do not attempt to pet it because it enjoys basking in the sun. It's chilly and hairy, but that's no excuse to encourage a bite from a snake. It's deadly, and its poison is neurotoxic, like any other vipers, and its composition varies based on altitude and even weather in the area. This fluffy baby's bite can be lethal, especially if medical attention and an antidote aren't available. Internal bleeding is frequently caused by the poison and isn't something that will go away on its own. Spitting cobra. While a cobra can blow up a hood or bite you, sending you to the ICU, it appears that nature has decided to offer it something a little more odd. Spitting cobras were born as a result of this process. It's a common name for various snake species found in Africa and South Asia's savannas and forests, and these cobras know how to spit, or rather, fire poison at their attackers, thanks to a distinctive form of channels within their teeth. Cobras usually target the eyes, which is understandable. If your breakfast can't see that all that's left for it is to crawl closer and take one last fatal bite, it can't run away from you. The bullets can be up to 2 meters long, depending on the species, and certain cobras can deliver the venom quickly. Of course, it isn't a machine gun, but it is, on average, very quick. Although such spit is innocuous to a mammal's intact skin, it can cause irreversible blindness and corneal edema if it gets into the mucus of the eyes. Pit viper from Sunda Island. There are some snakes that are simply stunning. It's not scary or unique, yet it's simply stunning. One of them is a blue viper, but this is the type of beauty that requires seeing from afar. You recognize it as a work of art, and you respect it as such. Mona Lisa, on the other hand, is unlikely to attempt to murder you. The aggressive white-lipped island pit viper can be found in Indonesia. Whereas some snakes prefer to slink away, this beauty charges forward and bites. The white-lipped viper preys primarily on small animals such as mice and frogs, but that does not mean it is unconcerned about humans. The viper crawls into inhabited areas and isn't scared to encounter people, even though they aren't on the menu in search of food. It appears to think it's in charge, and you'll remember this experience for the rest of your life, even if you don't die from the snake's bite. Pain, swelling, necrosis, and extreme bleeding are all symptoms of the poison, but it's not all. Mice caught by a white-lipped viper are in a far more difficult situation. It bites them and then waits for the toxins to be absorbed into the bloodstream of the victim. It then uses her own teeth to drive the mouse down her throat. Long-nosed whip snake. You'll recognize this one even if you don't know anything about snakes or can't stand them. Yes, dubious snake. It's like a thin hose or ribbon that judges and suspicions everyone. It doesn't bite, but it does have a different kind of pain. The skeptical snake's diet includes frogs, lizards, and a variety of small rodents. It's also dangerous, though the poison's makeup is unclear. The poisons are potent enough to induce pain, swelling, bruising, numbness, and other local symptoms that last 3 days. Unless the odd snake bites your neck or a crucial organ, in which case the repercussions could be even more severe. Southwest India is home to this skeptical critter. India, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Bangladesh, to name a few countries. A snake can even blind a man by poking his eyeballs out with its pointy head, according to legend. Of course, this is not the case, but we wouldn't recommend approaching a skeptical snake too closely for the test. It's impossible to say. Scientists, on the other hand, call the snake something else. It's known as a long-nosed whip, but we think ours is cooler, and that's it for today's buddies. Please support this video by giving it a thumbs up and leaving a comment if you appreciated it.